So while I was on vacation during the summer, Unity has released ML Agents version 0.4, and a lot of the tutorials we had getting started with Unity ML Agents was done back in the 0.2 days, and a lot has changed and a lot has gotten simpler since then. So we're going to do a quick step-by-step, making sure we're going to download all of the core components, make sure everything works end-to-end before we start getting into building our own environments and doing more complex things. So here we are on the Unity homepage, and in this case I've actually recorded this video a couple of times, but I didn't like how it came out because there was too much old gunk left even when I tried to uninstall things. So I've been meaning to reformat my machine for a while, so I did a factory reset on my computer, went back to a very early configuration, and so now we should be able to get a very clean and authentic installation experience as opposed to having, like leftover Visual Studio gunk. So we're going to go ahead and click Get Unity. We're going to do Personal. And sure enough, my little indie game studio does not make enough money. And then we're going to go ahead and use Download Unity Hub. So this, even though it's in preview mode, I have found that this is a great little tool. And I really appreciate it because it helps you keep track of all of your different versions. All right, let's see here. So standard issue stuff, we're just going to click on I agree, Unity Hub, click install. Now the reason why I'm installing this first is because the Unity installer can actually take quite a bit of time, and we'll want to get that going as we install the other components as well. And okay, so sure enough, allow the firewall, and then here's one of the things that it wasn't asking me before I reformatted my machine is this survey, that kind of thing. So I have an existing account. I'm going to move this off screen real quick so that I can log in. There we go. And I'm going to do Unity Personal. And sure enough, we earn a whole lot less than $100,000 a year. All right. So we're going to get started, and we are going to come up here to Unity 2018.2. We're just going to grab the latest one. That's fine. The documentation I don't want. I never use that on computer documentation. I always go online. And then we do want Visual Studio Community 2017. And so this is one place where, again, it never really uninstalled right. So hopefully we'll get an authentic install of that, which really goes through all of the steps instead of skipping a bunch and doing something weird. All right, so Unity's going in the background. The next thing we're going to need is Python. If you don't have Python already, then this is a fairly easy thing to grab. Just go to Downloads, go to Windows. I know for a lot of the machine learning stuff, they can get very picky about what version works with what, especially when you start doing GPU training. The libraries and what library you pick and what version of which libraries you pick makes a difference. It's the difference between working and not working. So in this case, I'm actually going to go back to 3.66 as opposed to 3.7 because I know that the Python 3.6 series works end-to-end with all of the GPU training. 3.7 should work. I just haven't tested it. So I want to go with something that I am very confident will work. So 64-bit executable installer, that is what I want to download. And so while that is going, I'm also going to go to the GitHub. So the Unity Technology /ML Agents GitHub. And we don't even need to bother with Git. This machine doesn't even have that yet. We can just download the zip file, and the zip file has everything that we need. All right, so we're going to check where we are. So Unity is installing. It still has a little bit to go. Python is downloaded, and ML Agents is downloaded. Those are the three main components that we need. Now, I am going to go to my E drive, and you'll see that this is This drive did not get formatted. This is my data drive. So I'm going to go, I'm going to create a new folder, and this is going to be ML agents test. So that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to go into here. And I'm going to open up, go to the downloads and the ML agents master. Go into there. And the only things I really need are the Python and Unity environment folders. I don't need the docs. Again, I use the online docs because those will get updated more. And then this doesn't have anything in it, and those aren't necessary for our purposes. So these two folders are really the only thing that we need. Give that a second. Okay, so we have our Python. So this is where all the Python code goes. And then a Unity environment, this is where their example environments and scenes all are. And that's what we're going to be using to make sure that we're doing proper end-to-end testing. Okay. Unity Hub is still installing, so it looks like it has everything downloaded on this local machine is now installing. And so while that works, we're going to go ahead and deal with Python. So go downloads, Python 3.6. All right, so when you install Python, do yourself a huge favor and check add Python 3.6 to path. That will just make your life a lot easier. Again, I click OK, and Windows goes into the user access control thing, so I can't see that for a second. But all right, so while that works, Visual Studio installer has also popped up, so that's working as well. So we got Visual Studio 2017 going and Python going at the same time. Those two shouldn't conflict. Shouldn't be a problem having both of those installers running. Shouldn't. Which does not mean it won't. Okay, so Python setup is successful. So we're going to start testing out individual components here. So I'm going to click on my Start button. Oh, hold on a sec. Visual Studio says it wants my attention first. Visual Studio Community 2017, that's the one that I want. And let's see here. It does not have things pre-selected. Now, I expected it to have stuff pre-selected. Visual Studio 2017 is already installed in this folder. You have got to be kidding me. But Visual Studio is not on this machine. I'm wondering if for some reason the install gets called twice. So I'm going to close that and see if that's the case, because it definitely did not install as clean as it should. Yeah, and it still thinks the setup is in progress. So there is something odd going on here with the Unity 2018.2 and Visual Studio install. That is not working as cleanly as it should. Okay, well, in the meantime, I'm going to hit the Start button and type in CMD to bring up a command prompt. And I'm going to try Python. Okay. Python seems to be installed, so you type exit, open, close paren to do that. In this case, my working directory is on E drive, and I called it ML agents test. And then cd python. I'm going to clear the screen, and so I'm going to do pip install dot. And so this is, again, newer since some of the earlier versions of the ML agent stuff. This should go ahead and install TensorFlow and all the dependencies and TensorBoard and everything that we need in order to do the ML agents stuff. So that's a huge asset to this process by just being able to do pip install dot. All right. And it looks like it thinks that Unity is installed. Visual Studio, oh, it was still installing. And then, all right, so I'm getting this message. Setup for this installation of Visual Studio is not complete. Please run Visual Studio installer to correct the issue. So the Unity installation of Visual Studio did not happen quite right. That's all right. In my start menu, there is a Visual Studio installer. So I'll bring that up. All right. And I will resume the installation. We'll see what it does. All right, well. Seems to be okay now. See, this is why we do the end-to-end and why I really wanted to make sure that it was very authentic. All right. So Visual Studio is doing its thing. In the meantime, on the Python side, we're getting these warnings that says that, hey, we have these executables that aren't on the path. As soon as this Python script is done, we are going to grab one of those. It's the same folder over and over again. So we're going to grab that and make sure that we add it to the path. Well, it's out of the way for the moment. We'll see how Visual Studio and Unity work together. You might need to still add some tools there. All right, looks like our Python is ready. So it says here that, hey, this folder is not on the path. It's my app data local programs Python scripts folder. So I'm going to go ahead, highlight that, hit enter to get it on my clipboard. And then again, I'm going to open up my oh, I don't want to open up my command prompt. I want to open up if you hit start and start typing in environment, it'll say, hey, edit system environment variables. And so here it is, environment variables. And here's the user variables for Blake. And so this is definitely a very user-oriented path. So I'm going to edit this one. So I click on path, and so I'm going to add a new entry, and I'm going to add this to my path. All right, and then I'm going to run the pip install dot again. So in this case, it should check everything, and then give me any warning. So all of those path issues should show up again. In this case, it hasn't. The only thing, in fact, that it's telling me that I need to do is upgrade pip, because apparently my pip is like super crazy out of date, but I don't care at this moment. I will deal with that later. All right, so Visual Studio is installed, so I'm going to go ahead and click Launch, and then I'm going to sign in my Visual Studio account, standard stuff. Hello, Blakeshires. All right. So Visual Studio is here, and it seems to be the light theme instead of the dark theme. Whatever. Actually, it might correct itself. Oh, yep, there it goes. It loaded my preferences. Great. Visual Studio is up and running. All right. So in this case, we're back at the Unity Hub. It doesn't think we have any local projects. I'm going to go ahead and open, and I'm going to go back to the ML agents test, and I'm going to go into Unity environment, and then where it has assets and project settings, I'm just going to click select folder. And current build target is fine. I'm going to click open. I get the Unity splash screen, which you can't see because it's off monitor. I develop in 4K, and so I only display like a quarter of that, which is why you can't see a few of the things that are coming up. But it says, hey, this doesn't match the previous version. That's fine. Click continue. You're good. And then Unity Package Manager is going to do what it does. Unity is still doing more calculating in the background as it loads in things, creates caches, asset hashes, all that jazz. All right, so I'm going to let this install and answer the phone. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Now, I've also rearranged my screen a little bit so that you can see the start bar, so you can see more of the things that I do down there. And that's about it. So the project is finished loading, and I have answered the phone. Everything is good there. And I am still not completely convinced that Visual Studio is set up the way that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and start up Visual Studio Installer, because I feel like we're missing the Visual Studio tools for Unity. So I'm going to come in here to modify. I'm going to scroll down. There we go. Development, game development with Unity. Okay, so these things are installed. Okay, and it did not install the Unity editor, because that's one of the things I was afraid of, is that it would install another version of the Unity editor, which I didn't want. So it does have the static analysis tools and the SDK stuff. So actually, I do think, even though it's not quite what I expected, it does look like we are good to go. All right, so that's good news. All right. ML agents, and we'll go to examples, and we'll do the 3D ball, scenes, and we'll open up the basic one. And so as we can look around, we see that, yep, sure enough, basic example with 12 versions going. Now, we're not going to get into playing the brain back inside Unity because we don't have the TensorFlow Sharp package downloaded, but we will at the very least make sure that we can get training. So I'm going to open up command prompt, and I'm going to go to E drive, and then ML agents test, Python, and we're up to date, and that's installed everything. So should be able to do just learn .py. Can't remember the syntax. Right, ls is not going to want learn.py. That should tell me what the syntax is, because I know we need a tech train, and then we need a run ID, and I can't remember exactly what the syntax is for that. Oh, so it pops up with Unity. It also has Windows Defender Firewall, and we are going to allow access. Tech run-id. All right, so I'm going to cancel that. Learn.py, train, run, ID. And we want to just call this first test. Is that a colon or equal? Looks like colon. I bet it's at equals though, since this is on the command line. Learn.py, train, run ID, first test. Let's see if it likes it. There we go. And train is true. Run ID is first test. That was the proper syntax. We're going to come back here, and we are going to go to the Academy, and we are going to check out the brain on that. So I'm not going to change any of these settings except the brain type I'm going to set to external. So now in Unity it says start training by pressing the play button in Unity Editor. Oh, took too long to respawn. All right, well, we'll start it up again. All right, and then I'll hit the play button in the Unity Editor. And we'll see what happens. There we go, we got the batch size. appears to be training. It's doing something. Step 1,000, mean reward, standard deviation of reward, and it's up and running. So here we are. End to end, we have gone from a clean install of Windows. Visual Studio install was a little funky, but aside from that, Unity install was standard, straightforward, Python, nothing to it. And then getting the training going. Clean as you like, so that's great. I just want to take a second to thank my patrons at Patreon, and I can include a link to that below. And in the meantime, if anybody has any questions, comments, anything that they need to know, also feel free to comment below, and I will do my very best to answer questions, because it looks like we are training, and yeah, this is doing what it needs to be doing. This looks very encouraging. So, all good stuff. Thank you very much, and happy training out there. Take care. Bye-bye.